Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I hope you are doing great today. As always, we have an epic meeting with Polytopia. This time it's OUMAJI POLYSSEUM. My name is Adam, aka MijiTube. You can also find me on Polychamps as Gato Azul. And also, as always, we have fantastic guests, both very good and experienced players. And big friends of Polytopia. Welcome, Tolbby and Chris. Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, like I said, we have some replays to review today. But before we get to this, let's first maybe discuss OUMAJI. Could you tell our audience a few things about them? Maybe their strong and weak points. What do they excel in? Yeah, that kind of stuff. Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. I think above all else, we have to remember OUMAJI starts with riding. They are a typically aggressive tribe. They want to expand fast. They want to take more villages than the opponent. They want to use that to get roads, to get Grand Bazaar, to get their giants up like that, and then eventually transition into the late game once they've already secured that city advantage. If they can't do that, they do have something to fall back on. Great farms, so potentially nice late game resources with construction. But I would say on the whole, we're going to be seeing fast-paced gameplay.
Tolbby?
Chris brings up a lot of the great points. OUMAJI is very simple. They've got a simple game plan of spam out a whole bunch of riders, and their research tree is typically very constrained as well, making it very easy as a tribe to get into if you're a new player. Always something people are always asking about. Plus, they've always been good against the dreaded Simanti before the rework had happened.
Yeah, rider roads, right?
Yeah. And they are really, really nice on those smaller maps where it's tight gameplay, very constrained, very micro focused, where you can try to snipe their shaman or pick off a few hexapods, things like that.
And what about the more water-based maps? How do they perform there?
I would say it's really strange, where sometimes OUMAJI looks like an all-star because you have your land connected to a lot of villages and you can pick them up really fast, faster than you normally would be able to. But if you don't have a lot of villages on your landmass, you're really going to be struggling as OUMAJI because of the fact that your tech isn't really helping you very much in terms of economy, and you'd rather be going fishing early, but they don't really have any benefits to doing that outside of just getting into the water. So they're gonna be a little bit slower than other tribes in that respect.
Tolbby, anything to add?
I don't think I have anything to add. Chris brought up all the great points. They're excellent on land, and
there are two. Yeah, sorry. There are two more things I wanted to touch. Did you have the chance to download the balance pass, and did you play the new kind of OUMAJI because they get more stars at the beginning? Does this change anything in their strategies or anything else? Tolbby?
Me personally, I've only been able to play it since last night. I've come off of 12 days back-to-back shifts at work, so it's
okay.
It's my first day off, so
okay.
It's nice that they got the buff. I don't think they needed it, but Chris would actually have a better understanding about it when it comes to the balances on that.
I did have a lot of communication with people who were, behind the scenes talking about these changes, and it's only 1 star. And for a lot of people, I think that's super innocuous.
Yeah, I actually forgot. So because some of the tribes got like 2 extra, so they started with 7, but Oumaji got just 1. Okay, it's 6.
It's a really it seems really, really small, and I think in the grand scheme of things, most players are not going to notice these changes. But this is one of those changes where you know that somebody behind the scenes was putting in the calculations to show that the 1 extra star is meaningful. And I've been doing some experimenting on my own and with the tribes and seeing how they've changed as a result of the update. And I think the best way to put it for everyone out there, to put it simply, is 1 extra star is going to accelerate your game plan by about 1 turn. So you can think of Oumaji as being slightly faster than they used to be on the economic side of things, to help them keep pace with all the other tribes that got 2 extra stars. And I'm saying it that way because the tribes that got 2 extra stars expand slowly. So the 2 extra stars helps them get their economy going faster. Oumaji is already going to be fast. They're already going to be getting their villages faster. So if they got 2 extra stars, both get the benefits of being a great economic tribe and the benefits of being really, really fast to expand. So the 1 extra star strikes that balance between, well, we need to make them a little faster, but we can't make them as fast as all the other tribes that are getting buffed, because then they're going to be the best of both worlds.
So it's not like a game changer, because I saw, for example, Justini's videos on Majakj, and he experimented with new openings, and actually now this road opening isn't that great. So with the 7 stars, Majakj is like completely different. It's much easier to get markets, and so it's not the case with Oumaji, based on what you are saying.
Yeah, Oumaji is going to feel the same to play overall.
Okay. Sorry, I said two things. Actually, it's 3 things. Are you playing in the World Championships? Are you planning to play? Maybe. What's
Tolbby,
the status?
I'd love to hear from you.
I mean, I'd have to look into it more. I've been pretty busy lately, so I mean, I could take a go at it. I don't see myself playing in the World Championship. I wouldn't put myself in the leagues with like Justini and Rats, but I definitely would be the gatekeeper for if people feel like, hey, do they have a chance? Well, they got to get past me first, and if they can't, they don't stand a chance. So I think it could be fun.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, it could be fun, but I don't see myself participating.
You don't see yourself as a champion?
No. I see myself as an entertainer. I don't see myself as a champion. I will be the person to go, look at me. All right, this person's better. I'll specifically, I'll do this. Just like, there we go.
Chris, do you see yourself as a champion?
Well, I just wanted to say before I talk about myself at all that I would love to tune into a stream where you take a shot at getting through, because I've been playing and watching other people try to qualify, and it can be pretty fun, especially if the person is going in with the mentality that they're just looking to have a good time. Because so for context, I am trying to qualify. I played in 2 tournaments last weekend, Zabasi and Kiku, and made it to the next round in both of those. But it is a pretty long process. So for those of you who are looking to qualify, you should probably keep in mind, based on what I'm about to say, whether or not you want to go for it. I encourage it if you have time, but it was 14 hours of Polytopia on a Sunday. And I was very fortunate to have the time to do that, and I really enjoyed it, but it was really long, and it's pretty intense, especially as it's best of 3 for every series. So you really do have to put your best foot forward and keep your mentality up. But I really enjoyed playing so far, experimenting with the balance pass and seeing some familiar faces along the way. I mean, Poly Champions, obviously a lot of representation in the high levels. But it's been cool to see people who we don't recognize also showing up and qualifying for the next round.
Yep. Yeah, and one quick note. So in order for you to play, you have to download this latest update, the Balance Pass, in order to be able to play in the qualifications and then in the final round. Because yeah, so that's the second tournament that will be actually played in a specific place. So the final is in Stockholm. So might be exciting to go there and win the main prize.
Are you planning to take a stop there on your trip back to Portugal?
No, it's like the other way.
I know it's a little out of the way for you, but
nope. Yeah, I did. Sweden is actually one of the few countries I've never been in Europe so far. So maybe like next World Championships or someday.
Love to have a meet up with the whole team and everyone. It'd be very cool.
Sure. Yeah, that will be exciting. One last question: which one do you is your favorite, or do you prefer the traditional Umaji or the Condor?
Ooh. Tolbby, do you have a preference?
I mean, if you're on my Discord, it's my Discord icon. It's Condor. I've got the Condor mask as
yeah.
It's part of the identity, so it has to be. You know what? Here, let me fix that. Just look at that right there.
Yeah,
That's the little guy I used to represent myself for Polytopia, so it's got to be Condor.
I've got to agree with you there. I mean, I think they look really nice. Nothing against how they look in the base skin, but I think that with Condor we're looking at an objective upgrade, an objective win over the original tribe.
Okay, so I set up a poll in the chat. So go ahead and vote. Let's see who wins the tradition or the new looks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think we can move on to the games. So, gentlemen, the stage is yours.
Awesome. Alrighty. I suppose. Yeah, there we go.
Tolbby, actually, one thing, could you put the volume of the game a bit higher so we can hear the game sounds? Yeah, let's try, because it might also be very unpleasant for you, but
it's fine. I can adjust it on my end right over here, just like this.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so who's playing here, and what do you think about the spawns? What kind of map is it?
Absolutely. So I suppose we should first talk about Anva, who's going to be in the south in this game. Anva's a Polychamps player, definitely one of the top 5 game players, somebody who everyone expects to make an appearance in the World Championship, or at least get close to it.
You're breaking up, Chris. Something is wrong. Hello?
I think we lost Chris. All right, so what I think we're gonna go ahead and jump onto. I would love to talk about the players. Chris will know about more, but I would like to talk about initial map generation. Both players, they only have one fruit that is available to them on their starting spawns, where yellow has the option of going directly north-northeast. Green would be having to make the option about which tile to prefer. Now I would see them favoring taking the more southern approach to try to get more vision on the center of the map first, because we are, as far as I'm aware, we are playing continents.
Yeah, it's continents.
They're going to be looking for that land connection as quickly as possible and figure out where that river is. But right now, at least based off of this key right here,
Yeah, it looks
green
like
player
northern part.
incentivized to try to secure in the north as well, just to figure out where the heck that bridge is going to be to get to his opponent. So an interesting setup that we have here where yellow has first turn priority, but green has probably the better spawn. If Chris, you back?
How am I doing? Is that better?
Yes,
Hey!
much better.
He's back.
So, talking a bit about the players here, we have Anva in the south. Definitely one of the top 5 game players.
You're breaking up again. Yeah.
Breaking up again?
There you go. Much. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have to be closer to the microphone.
Okay. We'll
Maybe.
just keep it here and hope that it doesn't cause too many problems.
Yep.
Okay. So Anva, top live game player on Poly Champions as well. Definitely someone who's going to be looking to qualify for the World Championship. And then in the north, we have somebody who I actually don't know too much about, and it's unusual, but this player has appeared in the finals of a couple Polysseums, but is not on Poly Champions to my knowledge, and I don't believe has won a Polysseum at this point, but is definitely somebody who can give good players a run for their money. I would like us to turn off the fog briefly, just so I can touch on a couple of things about this map. You'll notice that Anva can see a shoreline in his vision that is northwest of his capital. And that shoreline indicates a village in the center of the map. But perhaps most importantly, because it indicates that village, I think it's telling Anva that his opponent is northwest of him. And that there is a body of water that is going to split the map up and down, north to south, that way. So going
but
to
actually, sorry to interrupt, is it common that the map generation is like that? Because Tolbby mentioned the river, like the river kind of set up, and we have a river here, but it's like, Amazon River, not just like a one tile river, and there is no land, actually no bridge connection here.
Exactly. That was what I was going to say, is that this, even at the closest points, there are no places to put bridges down. And this is especially important for UMAJI, who would love to get roads and just play on land, not even have to worry about getting into the water. But at this point, both players, not necessarily aware of that, but are already going to be thinking about getting into the water. Just looking at this position, both players can see that there is some kind of middle area that is divided by multiple tiles of water. Look at those deep water tiles, indicating that there's at least a 2-tile body of water between the players. So this is going to feel, I think, a little bit more like an archipelago game and less like a continents game.
Okay, let's play the
replay. It's going to come down to which one can recognize there's no bridge connection earlier, get a better economy, and jump on that water a lot faster than the other player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely can expect some naval.
All right, we're going to let a couple turns go through, and then I'm going to pause real fast. Was that audio good right there? Y'all able to hear that just fine?
No, we can't actually.
Oh, no.
Can't hear the sounds. What about you, Chris? Because I can't hear anything.
I'm not hearing game audio coming through currently.
Oh, no. Really quickly. No, don't do that. All right. The audio. Should have. One last quick check. Man. Yeah, we may have to do this in a slightly different way.
No, if it's like complicated, then let's go. It's
We'll fix
the drawing is actually more important than the sounds of the game. So I'm really happy about that.
I'm gonna turn that down for myself then, because that is actually very loud in my ears.
Yeah.
All right, get this back up. So, I accidentally clicked pause. There we go. So we saw that the green player had already made a circle around the north, trying to look for that land bridge, specifically trying to find that river, and is quickly finding out that there is no connection. So do you think the fact that he's already been able to identify this gives him an advantage in this matchup, or is this just going to hurt him because he's a lot slower getting to that second village?
I think being slower to the village is perhaps more important here. As we can see, Anva already on 4 cities, sitting on the 5th, going to be about a turn and a half faster. And that means a lot, right? Anva able to pick up farming here, going to have a nice eco tech that he can use to try to progress towards giants. However, Josim not going to be phased by this, going to get in the water immediately. And I really like this decision. As we are aware of from the start, there is that village between them that is going to be crucial. This is a huge explorer, but it goes backwards. Oh, man, that's brutal. Anva wishing that explorer went another way.
I wish that explorer went a different way as well. Man, that actually really, really hurts. Investing into fishing just to be able to find his opponent, and unfortunately, the explorer had other plans.
Another second explorer, but here we go. This one is going to be what Anva was looking for. Going to give most of the relevant information, but most importantly, seeing that village between them, going to keep the rafts available to be upgraded in case scouts are a priority here to knock Josim off the village. But Josim going to act first. Scouts going to ping that raft, and all of a sudden that village looks very takeable. Tolbby, what do you think?
I would definitely say it's at least Green's. It's now at this point just Green needs to play defense. This ends up making the game, oddly enough, even between the two, going for a 6-6 city game.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to if Green is able to solidify this village, get some walls to apply some extra defense, secure a naval advantage, then it would be Green's. I think this game may fall down to if Yellow can pressure and take the village, or if Green is able to apply a wall of defense.
Thus far, it looks like Green has the initiative getting into the water, and that first giant certainly doesn't hurt either. Anva going to have to get construction here, which is a huge investment to get that first giant up, and that is kind of painful from an economy standpoint, not able to get ramming or sailing or any of these other perhaps more relevant techs to attack with.
But this does give Yellow a really big economic advantage. And Yellow actually has 3 places that they are able to, you could almost argue 4 places that they could enter the water from, whereas Green, they've only got the 3, and one of them is going to be having to focus purely on defense, and going back here onto this spot right here.
Exactly, and it seems like Anva is capitalizing on getting construction here. Going to be able to pump out not 1, not 2, but 3 giants over the next couple of turns. But that is a massive star ruin.
Star ruin!
Ooh, yeah. That's real nice. And there's roads coming out, going to allow Green to get another giant in capital and send that giant all the way in the back, much closer to the front lines.
Just 7 stars short from being able to get the Grand Bazaar, and immediately the Juggernaut is applying pressure onto that Green village. Luckily, Green has 3 Juggernauts already on the water.
Yeah, there is a wall. Yeah.
Going to wall that city, that's a really nice play. Going to be able to hold it down at least for another turn or 2. But Green lost a lot of health on that Juggernaut. Juggernauts have stiff, as we remember, so they do not deal retaliation damage. So all those riders on land able to funnel in and hit that Juggernaut down to 11 HP already. So it's looking more like a 2v2 in terms of Juggernauts right now. Both players looking to try to get a third giant into the water. And now we see ramming trying to take HP off those juggernauts as fast as possible. Here's a nice veteran swordsman siege on the center city.
It's going to take a lot with those juggernauts. That's 2 juggernauts, a ping, and securing the kill with a rider. Now that city's going to be a little bit weaker on the defense at this moment, but if we look over here, Yellow's run out of steam. He's not able to apply that pressure anymore.
Yeah, Yellow's going to have to find something new in this position. I think that new idea is going to be trying to get control in the north, trying to get additional giants up. Oh my goodness, navigation bomber. Oh, this looks like wraps.
Ooh.
This looks like wraps for Green. Green is establishing naval control, has a nicely placed bomber, has multiple juggernauts, great front line. And oh my goodness, that bomber is covering so much of the map right now. It's just going to make it impossible.
That area that bomber is carrying, and that's not including the splash zone.
Yeah.
That city can't produce anything anymore. And now the
zone two bombers.
Huge giant siege coming in. But hang on. I mean, Anva's going to be getting gated power in a second here. We might see, we'll see how this turn plays out. But I would love to see something very wonderful from Yellow here.
Oh, there it is!
There it is! There it is, climbing! Gonna make sure that it's secured. And that is a Houdini! Oh, beautiful Houdini. And that attack is totally stifled. Completely. Wow.
Oddly enough, that actually kind of equalizes everything, but Green's still got all the presence on the water, and as we know, it's near impossible to get that presence back. And Yellow has managed to sneak a Juggernaut into the back line. Those 2 bombers are about to be history.
Yeah, it's looking really rough for Green. Going to have to scramble to kill that Juggernaut and try to deal with the pressure coming in from the north. Yellow finally capitalizing on having more area to put units into the water with, but it's not over yet. Both players now vying for naval control, as Tolbby said, more even now than it was. But oh my goodness, Green resigns. Now let's examine this for a second. Tolbby, why do you think Green resigned in this position?
Well, we're going to go ahead and let this turn play out, but those bombers are really, really weak out there in the back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right over here, these units got no health. These bombers can't do any damage. And unfortunately, all of Green's Juggernauts absolutely fizzled. So Yellow's able to make a counterattack on the following turn, absolutely bringing this Juggernaut in to either threaten the city or allow a potential siege. And at this point, it all came down to Green lost their presence on the water.
Absolutely. And I think it's really worth noting that that is Green's capital. So that is the only city that Yellow needs to capture to win the game. And so even if Green can defend the walled city or keep the rest of the cities safe, it's only the capital that matters. And Anva had several giants next to it, as well as rammers coming in from the north.
I think it also came down to the fact that he had to use these Juggernauts specifically in order to fight off on this turn. He had a whole bunch of defenders, but, well, I guess the technology doesn't allow for archery very well, but definitely should have had some backup riders with the whole idea of being able to fight this Juggernaut off.
Yeah, because Anva was using riders very intensively to fight the Greens Juggernauts. So
absolutely. So if we we're on the wrong application here, you're able to just see every single one of these Juggernauts melts thanks to all the riders that was still on land on a sea-only map. Pop!
Yeah. This is the strength of Umaji. They can ping away these Juggernauts that are trying to cross the water before they make it. And Yellow demonstrated this on several occasions, using those riders to maximum effectiveness. I think perhaps the biggest turning point in this game, we have to talk about that Houdini. That was really what turned this game around. Otherwise, that siege is going to hold, or it's going to be a huge problem.
So do you think that the green player should have kept this juggernaut on water instead of like sieging?
On
Yes.
the water, or at least put it on the land in order to threaten the city a second time.
Yeah. So going directly for the city was what we might call a bit of an overcommitment for the green player, who was probably feeling a little antsy at this point, wanting to push the advantage now that
because on
bombers...
turn 17, it was a total domination. There were only 3 yellow units on the in water. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So with this, I would have either considered sieging with this defender right over here, because sure, you lose the value from the rammer, but you're not throwing away a potential giant on a Houdini, and this city's only got 3 spaces that the enemy has to fill up. And if we take a look at yellow's or green's vision, so turn off that shared fog, you can see that we already have all the vision. Just move a unit here, just move this unit here, just move this unit here, and with that, a Houdini is possible. So I think it was at this moment the game had already been going for 17 turns, and unfortunately, green did not consider the possibility that his opponent still had a monument in play, because we had 1 monument here. I don't see any others, so there's no Grand Bazaar, despite there being 6 cities total here. So there's 1 there, plus a lot of fighting happens. So Killer Monument was also possible. So just with the idea of those 2, you immediately have 2 places like right here or right here that the monuments can go in order to get ourselves a giant.
Yeah. And perhaps most importantly, green's ambition in this position is going to be protecting those bombers. So that juggernaut in the west is just a couple of moves away. So bringing over your own juggernaut, as Tolbby is drawing for us, is really going to be the best way to keep those bombers safe and start to move them up. Because that's really what you want to do in this position. You want to start to advance those bombers, open up those port spots again, right? Because those bombers are occupying those important port spots, and then start to flood the board with bombers once you have a lock on the naval.
Yeah, so like that's really important what you've said, because going back to what Tolbby said about how many units can actually each player puts on water. It's like if those bombers are there, it's just one city compared to like 4, right, or 3.
Exactly.
So that was the crucial difference.
Exactly.
One last thing that could have been considered. Now, we unfortunately can't see the amount of time players had left, but if we really wanted to try to prevent a Houdini from even being possible at all, and you want to go all in, bring this raft over to here to this space, go ahead and ping this down to 4 HP, secure the kill with this rammer, and then fill up this last spot here, and just weaken down this rider to 4 HP. So not only are you body blocking with the defender on land, you've blocked 2 of the locations for monuments, and it's going to be really difficult for this city to even consider getting a giant.
Yeah, so we have to say that this attack was quite unprepared. So probably the green player. So that's maybe that's my chance to pin down the great Anva. So yeah, it happens.
Don't get me wrong, green definitely played very well, but this is a moment where how do you secure the siege? And he definitely had a lot of options.
My advice to people who are looking to perform well under pressure, especially against really good players, is that patience is key. A good player can defend very well and can make it seem like they are losing even when they have a winning advantage. So if you can, choke them out of the game slowly, that is going to be a more consistent option for you, rather than sending it all in one go and hoping that it works out.
Yes, wise words. Okay, so let's go to the game number 2.
All right, give me a moment to this one. loaded on a. Well, I'm getting this game loaded. Chris, if you want to talk about our next players that we're going to be showcasing on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next game is going to be Senor versus Kennal. Senor, also a Polychamps player, one of the most prolific Umaji players, probably of all time. For those of you who are unaware, Senor, I believe at this point, has over 15,000 games played.
OMG.
Yes, and I don't know exactly what the what percentage of those are Umaji games, but I do know that when he first joined Poly Champions, he was playing mostly Umaji. Loves the tribe. And then on the other side, we have Kennal, who is an active challenger mode player. The username is not going to be useful here, unfortunately for us, but quite strong. Has made it to the finals of the Polysseum before, and has taken wins off of some big names. So absolutely a player to be on the lookout for. Oh, and I should note, Kennal is one of the few non-Poly Champions players to have made it to the second round of the World Championship qualifiers. So,
okay, congrats, yeah.
Alrighty, and we are going to be showcasing the second game. Quickly to note is the amount of resources to help guide our players towards any potential villages they may have. We only got 2 of them here for our yellow player, and we got a very rich 6 resources for Kennal. So Dryland spawns a lot differently than what I'm very much used to. So, Chris, if you could give a quick rundown on what players are looking for on a Drylands map, please.
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, we should talk about where the villages are here. No villages can spawn next to the borders on Drylands. So for Kennal, that southeast section, that is empty. There are no villages there, unfortunately for him. So both players are eyeing the center of the map. They're eyeing that northwestern half. And so both players are probably going to be looking at this space right between them. It seems like they may share a suburb, which is a village that is close to your capital. And that is going to be a hotly contested city, right next to both players' capitals, right next to probably where all the action is going to take place. And beyond that, I think we're going to see both players trying to, at the same time, secure their safe cities, get more riders, get more expansion, hopefully get themselves Grand Bazaar.
Whenever you're playing Oumaji on Drylands, now I'm not always looking for mirror matches, but in a mirror match where you know your opponent is also playing as the fast horsemanship tribe, are you trying to rush towards that center for a fast engagement, or are you trying to wrap around on the outside and slowly make your way onto the inside?
It's going to depend on whether or not you move first. There's a distinct disadvantage to moving first in this, or moving second in this position, because if we look at the order of moves, let's say that Senor moves as you had drawn, north and then north again, and then Kennal also moves west and then west again onto the fruit. Then if Senor moves north again, he will meet Kennal, be able to tap that rider, and then immediately can bounce away using the escape ability, and that is a 4 HP rider that is basically useless at that point. And so Senor gets to deny Kennal lots of expansion for basically free, and Kennal is going to be crying as he tries to pick up his villages, and Senor is harassing him the entire time. So generally when you are the away player and host is moving first, you want to play a little bit safer with that first rider so that it does not get tapped immediately.
All right, which place are you looking for? Is it on a fruit, or are you actually circling around the outside?
I think we're looking to get on a fruit. We're looking to find a close village as fast as possible. So we're probably looking at the northwest. Either of those fruits next to the forest seems perfectly fine.
I was going to say, village can't spawn here, so I'm assuming one of these trees next to the tree.
That sounds perfect.
Well, let's see if we can identify that with these players, and we'll go ahead and let them start playing out this game. And immediately go straight onto the fruit.
Yeah, and whoa, look at that move.
What happened there?
From Kennal. That is crazy. Okay, back up. Hang on. Let's rewind.
All right.
I just want to make sure everyone saw that.
That is a very aggressive. So we just talked about the risks of running to the center. Because at this point, they could have immediately met, and this would have been left at a 4 HP rider ready to die at any given moment.
Yeah.
That moment where you do, and just running onto the outside, running back to base to heal. I'm assuming just running to the outside, but just that's not. I've been in that position. It feels like a losing position of you just instantly lose.
I want to talk about what Kennal does on turn 1, which is moving back away from the center village. Not even looking to contest the middle village, and does not meet Senor either, who is conveniently sitting on a village right next to Kennal. That is, I mean, guys, I've played a lot of Polytopia. I've never seen that before. Not once. So this is unorthodox, to say the least. And I think what we're looking at here is, if you let it play just a little bit longer, Kennal finds this village, and probably wants to bring that rider in capital back to jump on that edge village, but then sees Senor's borders pop up and realizes, oh shoot, I messed up, and goes ahead and taps that rider on the city just to get.
But do you think they knew that? Yeah, because I'm wondering what was behind this. Like this moving back to inside his borders.
I want to hear your thoughts on that first, Tolbby. Because I'm also mulling over this.
For moving backwards, I think he was afraid about where his opponent was, and he wanted to see where it was coming from first. But my real question is then why did the rider go over here? Because we had just described that villages can't spawn on this tile here. If he followed up with, well, he wants to make a safer play, keep the two riders together, in this position, these riders are actually both threatening that village that's going to be popping up in the fog right over here.
Exactly.
So specifically because he actually moved his rider one tile too far to the north, he's actually letting this city go completely and not able to apply a single point of pressure. Because if I turn back the shared fog so that way we can see them both, that was a free village. He would have won that engagement. Because we see his train of thought. He brought it back so that way they can fight together. But he ended up misplacing.
But they can't, even for this central village. So
and that is a big. I actually would classify that as a misplay, because if we, there are plenty of videos you can look at on what are the spawning rules for drylands, and as Chris just mentioned, they can't spawn on the outside. So going onto that forest would have been just the superior play altogether.
Yep.
Even if you don't know that your opponent is there. Exactly.
Yep.
So I think I'm also going to call this a misplay, and it is going to cost Kennal immediately, because Senor is getting that village between them for free, basically for free, and going to be able to now defend that by getting some more riders up.
Immediately able to get the Explorer. Come on, get the Lighthouse, only for my satisfaction. Ah, dang it. Alrighty.
Explorers have an aversion to lighthouses. Yeah. But it's not all hope is lost here. And I'm saying that because with this Explorer, Kennal is going to see some positional objectives to fight for, namely those villages in the northwest that he can try to capture. And realizing that, hey, you know, Senor is up one city, yes, but I'm not necessarily down cities in the long run, as long as I can play around that middle village.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But it really is about to be unfortunately, it's about to be a 4 versus 3 city game, and it's going to come down to how do the engagements go around with these two villages over here.
Right, but Kennal, 4 farms in capital, uses 3 of them to get a giant right away, and that is a huge problem for Senor. Let's look at the village between Senor and Kennal briefly. That village has 2 farms and a fruit to its name. That is a barren village. That is not getting a giant anytime soon. And that is Kennal's biggest advantage in this position, being able to shove out these early giants and threaten Senor's border cities that he's trying to hang on to here.
Ooh, and in the fog, we find a 6th village. Actually about to be a 7th, so it's going to be a 7 versus 3 city game. However, Kennal's already got giants on the board, and they're making a push forward. So unless something happens immediately, we got a village about to be taken over here. We also got this village about to be taken over here.
This is what we were talking about, using the Grand Bazaar to get that giant up for Senor, but still does not have farming. So the potential to get giants in the other cities is super limited here. Going to basically have to give that village between them to Kennal, and this is a huge capture, right?
Absolutely. Another mildly questionable play, moving the unit outside of his territory when it would have been safe behind the unit right over there. So it's going to be a lot slower. Oh, he's going to be heading over to get a lighthouse.
There it is.
There we go. Now now it's all coming together.
Star Ruin for Senor, and that is super nice here. Allows him to actually tech into farming and try to get giants of his own. He's been giving up ground. He expanded really, really quickly in the early game, got the city lead, but had to hang on to it. Didn't really succeed at hanging on to it, but now has the potential to get giants of his own and launch a counter push. So here we might see Senor try to make some progress, and that is already coming to fruition a little bit with that giant in capital tapping Kennal's giant on the city. 33 versus 21 HP. That's a pretty big deficit. So it's going to be tight here.
Bop-a-da-bop. Throwing the units in order to lower the giant's health and bringing it back in order to protect the city. So that way it's not able to get a free capture in just 2 turns.
But now let's look at this. This is a nice 5v5. Kennal has taken this from a 7v3 to a 5v5 using the giants. So the game looks relatively even.
Yeah, and this ruin in the north, it's still being contested. It's in turn 13.
And Kennal is not done yet. Roading that giant onto the mountain.
Pushing forward, he's saying, I still have the tempo. Whoops. I still have the tempo. You're the one that needs to respond to me. And in fact, at this point, it almost looks like that SenorEvanso is going to go, look, that's a barren village. I see your capital right over here, and I'm going to start pushing my units forward. So instead of just trying to take 2 cities, I'm just going to go for the 1.
Absolutely. I'm going to use a walled defender to protect the city in the northwest, but still has so many problems here. Look at that vet sword in the center.
The veteran swordsman!
Yeah. And Senor says, okay, you know what? I am just going to put it all in on the village between us. Going to siege with that 40 HP giant. That siege looks like it's going to hold. Using the defender to try to protect the village in the center, but it's not going to be enough. Oh my goodness, Eye of God and Gate of Power to pop a giant. That will be enough to keep the vet sword away, at least for a couple of turns. Still going to be a tight position, though. Kennal is applying a lot of pressure, and that wall might not be enough in the near future to save the city. Senor's answer to this is, of course, piling more giants onto the village between them. And that's really going to be where a lot of the action is going to happen in the latter stages of this game. Kennal responding with a horde of units. Tolbby, tell me, who do you think is going to come out on top in this engagement?
So it really comes down to, are we able to hold on to the center? If you hold the center of the map, typically you're going to win. We have a lot of defenders, so unfortunately, OUMAJI doesn't quite have the technology in order to counter defenders, and those defenders are going to slowly push forward against this horde of riders. With 2 giants back here, even against these 3, oh, looks like it's about to go down. Oh, yeah, I guess not instead. And as we're going to be mentioning, against a wall of defenders, this city's being sieged right over here in the northwest. Looks like Kennal's going to be throwing in the towel, saying, I don't have enough manpower to deal with these units as the score is back to 4-6. Looks like that's actually going to be game.
Yeah. Wow, what a thrilling end to the game. Kennal able to strike back, but ultimately that attack fizzled out in time for Senor to arrive with reinforcements. And I think if we want to talk about what the crux of the position was, I think Tolbby was spot on with control of the center. Those defenders and that giant sliding into the middle of Kennal's position right at the end there made it really hard for Kennal to do anything. And that wall defender allowed him to hang on to the northwest side of the map and keep that giant at bay.
Absolutely. So as you can see here, even a giant against a wall defender, that giant is going to be having a very bad time. And all that defender has to do is move out and give space for another one. And unfortunately, even though we have this giant right here applying pressure, he's got absolutely no support. And giants without support, unfortunately, it's in most cases, it's just not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually very surprised about the playback here, moving the giant backwards. Applying pressure to the capital ended up forcing Kennal to feel that pressure and said, look, that's my capital. I can't let you put your giant right next to there onto this tile, because it doesn't matter what unit he places there. That this giant here would be able to kill it. So he's forced to place that giant there, allowing him to take the city.
Yeah, it was a really nice, almost a fork, as one would say in chess, giving Kennal 2 bad options and forcing him to choose between them. And in this case, Kennal chose to protect the capital, and ultimately that gambit paid off for Senor, who could just take the village between them, reclaim it from all those turns ago when Kennal pushed the giant in initially, and secure the game.
I always try to look for, is there what could have been done for if it was in your game. While this pushing your giant here makes it lose the defense, would you have considered just swarming a whole bunch of giants here and letting this tile be taken over by this giant, or is that just completely out of the question?
I think that was a very reasonable choice for Kennal in this position. Senor didn't have all that many units, and with the vet sword in the center, we know that Senor is going to have to do something about that in the coming turns. So I think it was important to call Senor's bluff here and say, yeah, like, you're not going to do that. You're going to go for the village between us, so I'm just going to send it and, you know, basically try to call your bluff. I think the other thing for Kennal here to recognize is that it does not actually take that many units to crack a wall defender if you have a giant in support. Yes, the giant attacking first only does 7 damage, but if you send in a bunch of supporting units before the giant and get the wall defender down to, I believe, 10 HP, it does die to a giant, and so you can actually crack that wall. And so I think there was a play here where Kennal could have looked at trying to swarm that city and take it, and then try to sweep over the northwest side of the map and win that way.
Absolutely. That was quite an amazing back and forth games. These are always my favorite to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, before we move on to the next game, an announcement. So far it's 32% to 38% in favor of Condor. So if there are any OUMAJI fans, it's your chance now to flip this around. Okay, let's go.
All right. Well, our last game is between. I hope I know how to pronounce this. I don't think I'm going to pronounce it correctly, and I apologize. Majakj versus Hyperboar. The former is a recent join to Polychamps. Is on the Ronin team, as many of the live game players are. But was on Challenger mode for a long time before that. Definitely a face that most people will recognize if they've been in and around Polysseum, has made many a finals. And then on the other side, we have someone who is a more recent contender, somebody who has been playing in several of the World Championship qualifiers, but I do not believe has made it to the next round yet, in Hyperboar. Both players, I would not quite at the top echelon, but still strong, still can put up a great fight against any of the top players. And they're going to be playing on what map?
So this is going to be a continents map. So even though we don't see it, there's water in between these two. So surprisingly, they're going to have to find where that center water meets in that river. So again, it comes down to that race.
The first Condor game.
Absolutely. This one's my favorite part of it, though. We finally have a Condor.
Yeah.
So am I detecting a little bit of caster bias, or?
Absolutely not. No caster bias as long as they win.
Excellent. All right, got it. So I know who I'm rooting for. Is what I'm hearing.
Nah, they're both gonna do great.
Now, notably, one player has a lighthouse spawn, and that is represented, if we look at the score, by them having 515 instead of 520. So Hyperboar going to know that they're in one of the corners, all the way in the back. Maybe going to make him feel a little bit more secure trying to expand towards the center.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this lighthouse is like out of reach.
Yeah, not quite gettable.
Yeah.
And another big point here, neither player has water access in their capital. And that matters a lot on continents where you want to try to get your ports down if you can. Otherwise, it's a bridge game. And so we might end up seeing both players going for roads early to compensate, get their connections.
Try to rush that Grand Bazaar, get an early giant, early game economy. It sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Also, looking at the spawns, it looks like that yellow has a more one-dimensional kind of spawn of really just two directions to go. Would you even be considering in yellow's position to be running to the center of the map? Or are you still following? I mean, I would be following the fruit.
I have some serious PTSD from running towards the center of the map on continents and running straight into water. So my usual instincts, intuition says to go towards the resources and not worry about center control.
Yeah, and Red's got all of the options here. And, well, Red also knows that when it comes to map positioning-wise, they are in this quadrant of the map, so their opponent's either going to be here or here, and with their location, they probably could assume that heading over to the east is probably going to be safe, or at least, well, that's my understanding.
Either safe, or if we think about where they'd have to be, considering they have a lighthouse spawn, they're going to reach villages between themselves and the opponent faster. If you look at like a close village to red, and then we look at where yellow could have spawned, so right there, and then we look at, a potential close village location, because red is away, can potentially look at trying to contest if there were villages between them. That being said, if they're right next to each other, this is going to be a very tavern brawl-esque continents match, and we may see it over before it even begins. But we're getting shown this game for a reason. I'm expecting it to be a little bit more tactical, a little bit more interesting than just typical rider roads. I think we should just get into it. I'm chomping at the bit here.
Alrighty, and well, as we were both kind of assuming, it's easier to head east and figure out is that the direction that they need to be going or not. And immediately, hold on, I'm actually going to quickly pause here. I'm going to do a quick unit count. We got 1, 2 from red, and for yellow, they skipped something.
Yeah, just one rider.
They only got 1 rider.
So this is a rare but not totally unseen opening where you don't get a second unit, and your objective is to play Umaji pretty much the same way you would play any other normal tribe, where you're looking to get your tier 1 tech and upgrade. But it is a little bit more interesting and or effective on Umaji, where you have this rider as a starting unit. You can get to your cities a little faster. But it's this is a do not try this at home type of opening, I would say.
But on continents, it's a bit, you know, safer than or on lakes than on like dry lands, right?
Yes.
On small maps. So.
But never underestimate the power of capturing villages earlier and having their income accumulate. So this opening, while it is getting yellow a little bit more economy, is also setting him back in terms of getting more villages, getting on the water, reaching his opponent, and training more units. Because remember, at the end of the day, you got to kill your opponent, and if they have more cities than you, they're going to train more units than you, and if they train more units than you, they're going to kill your units more than you can kill theirs. Basic Polytopia math. So
takes 2 warriors to kill 1.
Exactly.
But me, I like to be a greedy player, and I love to see this really big economic rush that yellow was able to get. So red is at 6 stars per turn, whereas yellow on 2 cities is now at 7, but it does really set them back an entire village all the way by turn 5.
Yeah. And now we kind of see that effect happening in practice, where red is eyeing his 4th and 5th city, whereas yellow is still trying to jump on his 4th. But yellow has ruins to compensate and vision of where he needs to go. Going to be roads for red here. Whoa, placing a bunch of roads early, looking to potentially shape and explore, but did not get fishing. Oh no! And that explorer does not cross the water, does not meet the opponent.
That's a big mistake, I'd say.
Yeah.
Hey, but right over here, off onto the western side of the map, we actually have a natural land bridge. So roads is not required.
Not required, but look at those glorious bridge spots.
Whew. I know some players that immediately would be saying, "Oh no, this is definitely a map that they would not be wanting to be playing on due to how many bridges are possible. Because it's more than one, that's way too many."
I love bridges. I think they're so cool, and it feels amazing to pull off plays with bridges whenever possible. Yellow's going to say, I don't care about the bridges anyway. I'm just going to go in the water, and immediately going to get punished for that. But has this vet sword that is looking to lock down Yellow's 5th city. And oh my goodness. Hang on. Looking to just steal a city from yellow.
So let's talk about unit advantage.
Yeah.
Thanks to being able to spam out a whole ton of units, he's able to immediately pressure, but thanks to 2 veteran swordsmen, and there's the bridge!
The bridge! And there we go. Able to kill the veteran swordsman, able to lock down that city, prevent yellow from getting a 5th city, at least for the moment. But those veteran swordsmen are causing so many issues for red, who just has to throw away so much rider HP to handle it. Fortunately,
go.
still going to have enough units. This is a crazy battle for this village. And it's not even on Red's continent, guys. This is on Yellow's continent. Red is saying, I don't want you to
Yeah,
have
finally some blocks. Yeah.
And there are the blocks coming in. But guys, you thought one veteran swordsman was too many. You thought 2 veteran swordsmen was too many. How about 3? Red has another vet sword going to join the fray. Also going to land a cap siege. Tolbby, this is chaos. This is absolute chaos.
Hey, but all of that paid off because now he's able to bring it to a 5 versus 5 city game. And from the looks of it, that's going to be our first giant. Yellow was on the back foot, but that giant's going to be able to, if he picks up climbing, immediately pick up a safe spot.
Absolutely. And
There
Red
is
is still
so many units, though, from Red, and with his own veteran swordsman, that is immediately applying pressure. He's looking to use his riders in order to bump it off. Bumping him up. Is it going to be enough? He needs one more.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
And this might look like just one city, but guys, this is Grand Bazaar for Red. This is a giant for Red.
That's
This is exactly what he's been hoping for.
So if somehow Yellow's able to get that village back, the economy's going to be even worse thanks to Explore. Red is pushing out a giant. He's just 2 pops short. Is he going to be trying to pick up climbing and get mining?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really see the giant there. Chivalry, hang on. Yellow going for knights. Nice veteran there for Red. Looking to preserve those riders.
I mean, knights are an excellent way in order to get an advantage back if you're behind.
No, there's another monument.
And there it is. Guys, 3 monuments in one city to get that giant in quite possibly the most barren Umaji village I've ever seen. 3 monuments will do the job.
There's the knight. Now we're going to be seeing Red is going to have to say, hey, I'm going to let you know that I have vision of that right now. We're going to go ahead and turn on Shared Fog. And unfortunately, Red does have vision of it. I think Yellow was making a gambit there saying, I hope he didn't get vision with that Explorer, and he's going to be able to properly space out his units.
But perhaps most importantly, those knights are going to allow Yellow to chop through the remaining giants and land a nice siege here. With the giant coming into block, that is crucial. I mean, I think that Red might still be able to make something happen here. Oh my goodness. Looking for the capital, does not find it, and the knight is going to capture that city. That is a huge swing here, taking the game back to a 5v5, giving a huge income boost to Yellow, who desperately needs it with those really expensive knights. But the game's not over yet.
Yep, Yellow's trying to tell Red that, hey, if you make one simple misplay, because there is another knight on the capital right over there. So while Red is trying to figure out how to apply pressure, and there's the 3 knight chain, making a veteran knight sieging John.
And oh my goodness, backs away from the city, doesn't even go for the capital. That giant is moving backwards. Oh my goodness. And now Yellow can stabilize. And now Yellow has
did Yellow have enough to pop a giant in case of siege?
I'm not sure. Maybe Yellow had a monument saved up here to try to pop a giant.
All Yellow needs is mining, and then he might be able to get another giant right there. And there's so many knights. That is 6 knights coming from Yellow. That is really expensive investment. Red is actually backing up.
And Red goes knights too. That's the first knight for Red. This is a knight v knight battle. Red says, I'm just going to trade my knight with yours. I'm going to siege your cities. You're going to be making no stars per turn. Breaks the bridge. Doesn't want to allow any chains through the position. Giant blocking the remaining 2 bridges. This is an absolute brawl in the center of the map. Looks like Yellow's last giant is going to become knight food here. And there's another cap siege. And there's another knight kill. Yellow needs to
1
find something
chain,
and
2
fast.
chain, 3 chain, 4 chain. That was almost 35 stars worth of units just killed right there in one fell swoop. But there's no resources for yellow. There's no units. Just
Red
one rider
committed
here in the
everything
back.
to that attack. Red also has no units. Guys, this is ridiculous. Red trying to bring the giant back to siege the center city. That's going to be a
with
giant
that,
pop.
Yeah. Construction.
It's construction and yet another giant.
And just when you thought it's over, Red's deciding to siege the center city also blocks. This siege looks like it might actually hold. I think it's holding. But Yellow has a giant coming into the center that's going to be able to siege on the following turn. Red going to try to lock down the game with yet another siege.
And there it is. Yellow
Wow.
throws in the towel. Even though he can still unsiege, he has the knights, but he doesn't have the production. He doesn't have the economy. He won't be able to finish killing off the other giants without losing his first, because there's just way too many knights on the board.
Yeah, and I want to highlight how well Red is spacing his units. You can count the number of tiles between each unit, but it's one tile between each and every unit, perfectly spaced out, preventing any change
Just
from
enough.
happening.
Yeah, that's like a pure, knights battle.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen, like this kind of setup ever, because usually it's mixed with other units. Obviously here there were also riders, but mostly it was knights against knights.
they were trying to play drylands on continents and mostly succeeding at it, is how I would interpret this game. An absolute fiesta from start to finish, just fireworks everywhere. Big investments in the knights end up paying off for Yellow, who gets a chance to stabilize. And that was the only opening that he needed in that position, being able to justify buying knights, right? Because it's such a huge investment, and then it ends up working out.
So
do you see any mistakes that Yellow made that's like caused his defeat?
in my opinion, right over here, what ended up happening is, look at this, and this is the turn that we actually called it out right over here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 knights on the board. Now, don't get me wrong, knights are very powerful. They're gonna win you some games, but he probably should have realized that, he might not need these 2 knights here in the back. That's 16 stars that could have gone to something else. Oops. That's 16 stars that could have gone to something else. And right over here, if we're looking ahead, either strategy to pick up defenders to wall off the enemy potential knights, because you know his opponent, not only is he spacing his units out, but immediately afterwards, right over here, nothing happened on this turn. He just moved his units back, stayed defensive, and then he didn't train anything. That should be telling Yellow that he is investing in something, and if he didn't invest in the front, there are definitely knights in the back. He has to start planning around it. Yellow has the initiative.
I think Yellow's opening was also questionable here. If we look at the way in which this game was fought, Yellow spent so long trying to secure a village that should have been theirs from the start of the game. They should have gotten that village much sooner. If they had gotten a second rider and just sent that one towards the northwest, they would have secured the 5 cities on their continent much faster and would not have had to deal with the very obnoxious pressure from Red being able to deny that center village.
Yeah, let's go ahead and turn off that replay fog in order to be able to see this right over here. So just imagine, we're going to bring this back over here. Turn 1, we have our rider. Turn 2, we go ahead and move them out. Turn 3, go into the village. And this one, depending on where you want to go, probably still heading straight this way. Yeah, I fully agree. He ended up giving away that village and lost a lot of tempo. He had a better economy in the early game, but unfortunately it didn't translate into anything except for lack of production in the late game.
But we also have to mention that he's, the distance between villages on his continent are much much bigger than on Red's continent. So
they are. The other thing that this
which
does
matters.
is because of the better economy, Yellow was able to pump out 2 giants before Red even had the possibility of getting one. But that's because Red was setting up for the Ren right from the gate.
Yeah. And so I think that this is a situation where Yellow used all those banked stars from having a better economy to go for knights. But in this position, knights were counterable. There was something that Red could do to deal with them. I think there were other options here that would have allowed Yellow to solidify. I would have actually really liked to see, and I know this is, you know, a bit of a crazy one, but Smithery, yes, exactly.
We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, looking at that middle village that Yellow has, that's got to have some wonderful forge spots.
It's actually got so it doesn't have a like super great forge spot because they were all covered up by monuments, but we do still have 2 mines that the moment that Yellow is able to take it, it just needs 3 population. So even with Smithery, that's still another giant there. That's also swordsmen that also are a pseudo counter to knights. They're also cheaper. So
yeah, I wanted to mention that it's usually a way to go for Tolbby to counter knights whenever I watch his live streams. Yes. They are very, very effective against Shiv.
They are, and they're also really, really nice against riders. They one-shot riders, if given the opportunity, and they take quite a few hits to knock down. So swordsmen are a really nice answer, and they're a little bit preemptive by Yellow. And what do I mean by that? I mean that Yellow knows that with his 2 giants, he's going to have to force Red to get giants of his own. So we need a unit that both deals with the riders and can deal with giants fairly effectively. And swords are quite economical for that purpose. You can throw a few of them into a giant, and when combined with a giant of your own, is a nice way to get rid of an enemy giant for a relatively cheap star cost. Right? If you throw 2 knights into a giant to kill it, that's a lot of stars, and you're not really going to get those back. So I think swords might have been an interesting idea. The other idea here, worth mentioning, markets, construction, getting that earlier. Yellow had a few more giants with construction, so could have gone construction first, get the giants up, get the economy rolling, and then throw down some markets later. And then Yellow can do whatever he wants. He's got enough stars per turn to just, you know, throw the stars willy-nilly and train 4 knights every turn. And at that point, you know, Red's going to be on the ropes.
Yep. And this map generation here is really something, because it's like when you look at it, it's actually just one city for Red to get ports, and one for Yellow. Yeah, so it's almost like Drylands.
Yeah, they really, as I was saying, you know, they really tried to play Drylands, and they succeeded for the most part.
So without any border growths, it's like no access almost.
And naval would have been pretty brutal here. There's just really no way to get units into the water safely that doesn't just get beaten up by riders on the other side.
Yep.
Yeah, Yellow would have had to go with a border growth to even consider getting onto the water, but I don't think Yellow even had the option to do that. I think going into the Knights was the correct thing in order to push Red back.
They tried, but they were punished really, you know, early.
Absolutely.
They put the ports there, I think, in their third city. So, but it was like just sitting there doing nothing.
That's a lot hard. It's hard to see, but we do have a ports right over here. I can destroy this.
Yeah.
Alrighty. But overall, you know, this was a very interesting map. This was a very interesting game. I would actually say also it had Condor, so
and the Condor player won.
Out of all of them.
Yeah, all the good things.
All the greatest things.
Yeah. Okie doke. So I think we'll be wrapping up. I will finish the poll. So yeah, so far it's 59% to 41 to Condor. So another win for you, Tolbby.
We need to find the Tolbby alts in the chat who are voting for Condor. they've tipped the scales.
Yeah, and like I mentioned at the beginning of our live stream, go and check how you perform in the World Champions qualifications. The link to all the details is in the description. I also put one in the chat. So yeah, if you'd like to join, yeah, go ahead. Don't be afraid. It's there are, like, as you see, there are different players. Maybe you'll be lucky with the big names, and you can also qualify and maybe even become a champion, unless Chris takes the first place. So yeah.
Well, we'll see if I get there, but the hope is to have a little reunion with some Polychamps friends over in Sweden. So we'll see how it goes.
And like a lot of face reveals, because the you can't be like behind your avatar there. So
it's okay. I'm ready. The fraud was an illusion. It was an illusion, guys. I'm a real person, I promise.
Okie doke. Yeah, it was great to see you guys. Yeah, see you on the next one. Thanks everybody for joining, watching the games, and actually, yeah, one last thing. So the next probably few live streams will be about the World Championships. We will move from Polysseum. There won't be any Polysseum live streams, so we'll focus mostly on the World Championships. So stay tuned. Thank you. Bye bye.